never took the time to admire the beauty of software engineering. And I didn't start my career chasing money. In fact, my parents wanted me to become an engineer, like civil engineering or mechanical or a doctor. So it was never about the money. I was genuinely interested in computers, and that led me to become interested in coding. And eventually I realized, well, this is also a great potential career. And I thought, what better way to fulfill my life if I can turn my hobby and my interest into my career? But over time, especially now doing this for almost 4 years as a professional, and then obviously I started programming since I was 11, so I've actually technically been doing this for 14 years. Over time, I lost the appreciation for software engineering. I stopped seeing the beauty in it, and I started seeing it as a tool to make more money, which, looking back, I mean, when I was 11, 12 years old, I was thinking, if I can do this for the rest of my life and earn a living, I'm going to be the happiest person on the planet. That is my lifelong goal. And then now today, I'm probably much further ahead than what I was expecting to be. And yet I lost the appreciation and the beauty of software engineering because I'm doing it for money. And I wrote a whole list of reasons why I think software engineering can be bad, and I'm going to go through them. But I also have a list of why I originally fell in love with software engineering, and I'm beginning to appreciate it again. So just hold on, don't click off the video while I'm reading the bad reasons. I'm gonna get to the good reasons. So the first reason that I started losing interest in software engineering is because of micromanagement. A lot of the managers that I've worked under, some of them have been extremely opinionated. Some of them have been extremely fixated on one goal, and they sort of destroyed the beauty of creativity, where there's a million ways to come to a solution, yet they're so fixated in their way and they refuse to take anyone else's opinion. That's what sort of killed it for me. That was the main reason why I started losing interest in software, because my autonomy was taken away. And then you get into problems with team dynamics where over engineering is a thing, especially amongst junior and intermediate, where they, for a very simple and easy solution, they create like 7 layers of abstraction. They're like modularizing the code where it could just be a quick one-liner, or they make a one-liner where it should be multiple lines for readability. And so that kind of takes away the beauty. I think to the core of software, it needs to be simple and easy to understand and execute. And the over-engineering aspect makes it difficult to understand and difficult to execute. So I think we're losing on both sides. Then we have money involved. I think if you involve money in any aspect of life, it kind of kills the joy, because now you have a reason to do it. Whereas before, you had no reason to do it, but you wanted to do it. And so you found ways to make it enjoyable. You did things that made you curious. You're constantly learning for the sake of learning. But when money's involved, now you're learning to make more money. Now you're doing things to make more money. Now you're listening to people that you don't give a shit about for money. And then the basics, obviously, it's software engineering is extremely time consuming in a world where we're constantly running out of free time, where we're constantly adding new things to do. It becomes more and more difficult to manage time. Software engineering can be extremely opinionated. When you try to have a conversation with people, they'll immediately disagree with you, tell you every single reason why you're wrong. And it can get really, really frustrating. And lastly, it's hyper competitive. I mean, back when I started software engineering, I was one of a few people, and there was a small community that was growing. People were generally more closer and more connected. Today, software engineers are being pumped out by universities and boot camps like left, right, and center. And we're starting to become more and more saturated. But I'm a true believer that the original people that got into software, not for the money, but because they genuinely enjoyed it, the job market for them has never been better. And these guys have never struggled to land a job. These guys have never had any issue acing interviews, getting interviews and acing them as well. Because again, this is their way of life. They have a story behind it. When interviewers ask why you want to do software or why are you in this role, they can start from the beginning. When they were 11, 12 years old, they were interested in it, and eventually it led into their career, and they decided they want to do their hobby as their main income source. And that's powerful. the recruiter can relate to that. The recruiter can use that to differentiate you from everyone else. And I don't think a lot of people have these kinds of stories, which I think gives the truly passionate and creative engineers a huge edge above everyone else. So those are all the bad reasons. And I think that's what killed the beauty for me in software engineering. For a long time, I was completely desensitized. I was a machine just writing code. I was just constantly learning to increase my net worth, to increase my salary. And it was just like, I was almost in flow state in my career. Like I just didn't care about anything else. I was just like completely hyper fixated on making more money, on landing bigger, better jobs, on, I don't know, like that was just it. I was just hyper fixated and nothing else mattered. And it wasn't that I was depressed or sad. I don't think I was that at all. It was more so I was numb and immune to my surroundings and emotions. And I lost the beauty in software. And I started seeking that elsewhere in other areas. Like I was moving to more into people management, more into entrepreneurship, which I love doing entrepreneurship. But at the same time, I feel like because I was so hyper fixated in making money through software, a lot of the beauty behind it, I tried to look for it in entrepreneurship instead. But it was always there in software. It's just my mind. I don't even know what it was, if it was my mind. It might have been the people around me, or it might have been, okay, it could be a lot of factor of things. But yeah, I just lost focus. Not necessarily from software, but like from the beauty of it. And these are the reasons why I fell in love with software. Before a job, before everything. The reason I went into software is because I had complete autonomy. Listen, I was an 11-year-old kid. My parents did not want to pay for video games. I was not the most popular kid in university, I was in primary school? I was not the most popular kid in primary school. I had a good amount of friends, but like, again, I was also not the quote unquote leader in the group. So a lot of times it's just like listening to what other people wanted to do. And I'm like, all right, let's go do it. And software gave me that outlet where I am completely in control. I have complete autonomy. My canvas, my coding IDE platform was, and I could customize it however I wanted. I could learn all the macros I needed. I could build as much software as I wanted, whatever I wanted to do. I mean, my first ever real software that I built was a clone of Pokemon, because I was so obsessed with Pokemon back then. And I thought, what if I just made my own Pokemon game? And the game was garbage, to say the least. But I was the game master. I was the one who dreamt up the inspiration, created the map, hand selected the Pokemons that I wanted to show up on random, created the NPCs, and my NPCs were Digimon characters. So the way I designed it was, you use Pokemon to fight Digimon. And I mean, like, a lot of people have thought about that before, but 11-year-old kid, that was amazing to me. Like the whole idea that we can clash universes. It looked great on the screen. I mean, sorry, it didn't look so great on the screen, but in my head, when I was going through that game that I made, like I was visualizing War Greymon versus, Charizard. And it was like an epic battle in my head. And I was like, I had complete autonomy on how I decided to make the world and how I progress the world forward. And another thing that I fell in love with software was there's no right answer. I mean, no matter how you go about it, obviously there is like trade-offs, but trade-offs only matter if you have some sort of financial incentive, or you're setting like certain goals. That's when trade-off matters. But when I started software, I had no goals. And that was the beauty of the whole thing. I had absolutely no goals. I just did it because it was fun. And there was no right answer. No matter how inefficient my software was, no matter how much better I could have improved it. Looking back, that software game that I made in the Pokemon clone, it was garbage, but that was my goal wasn't to make a great game. My goal was just to brain dump all these thoughts and ideas, this War Greymon versus Charizard in my head into some sort of usable software that I could mess around with and play around with and learn from it and get enjoyment out of it. That way better than money could ever achieve, for me at least. I don't know, maybe money buys you something specific. But today, to me, what money is today is a form of currency to go and buy the things I need to power my creativity and passion. So if I want to build bigger and better software, then I may need a better computer, I may need 2 monitors. That's what I think money comes in handy. And maybe I need inspiration and I want to go travel somewhere to get inspired by locals. That's when I think money makes sense. within the last 3 years, I think money became a luxury almost to me, where, oh, I can use it to go to fancy restaurants, or, oh, I can use it to get first class tickets in an airplane. And I really don't give a shit about that. That's what I'm realizing now. And that's also partially why I'm rekindling that beauty of software. And then obviously you're able to impact millions if that's your intention. Software helps you touch people's lives at the scale of millions. If you're truly a people person, a lot of people are people servants. They like to serve the community. They like to serve everyone around them. And I think with software, you're just going to be one notch above everyone else, just because you can scale infinitely. And I mean infinitely up to like 8 billion, which is the total population of the world. But you could truly scale and touch people's lives and improve them at scale. And that's the beauty in it. I don't think there are any other ways to do it as an average person. An average person will not be able to touch that many people's lives. The other one is, I think, content creator. But content creator is infinitely harder as well in terms of growing. And another thing I like about software is it's very personalized. Aside from building in a team, which I think there's beauty in that too, but the core of being a software engineer, a solo engineer, building your own stuff, building your own individual contributor, you build your own style and you build together as a community. When you build your own style, you have certain algorithms and methodologies that resonate more with you. And there are actually like multiple methodologies that are conflicting with one another, which is interesting because out of all the different options, none of them are necessarily bad or the wrong approach. And people who use one over the other will try to convince you otherwise. But I truly believe that there's no such thing. I think every single methodology, every single principle and concept created serves a purpose. And when you use it for its intended purpose, then that's completely correct. There's nothing wrong with that. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. And that's the beauty. You build your own style, you build your own set of tools, you build your own way of working. And that's powerful. And then when you come together as a community and you exchange methodologies, you exchange ideas, you feel a close connection with your peers. You feel like you truly understand each other where the outside world doesn't understand. You find interest, find common ground, and that's beautiful. There's so much beauty in that. I want to talk about logic and creativity, and I genuinely believe they go hand in hand. I think a lot of people assume if someone is very logical, they cannot be creative. I don't know, maybe the science behind it says otherwise, or maybe it agrees with what I'm saying. But I feel like to be truly logical, you also need to be creative because you need to consider all the other aspects of the path that you're moving forward and then come to a conclusion. This logically makes the most sense. And logic is also fundamentally a flawed idea, because your logic could be very different than somebody else's. Humans are naturally rational creatures, and they will naturally build their own logic system. Somebody from an outsider perspective will realize that if you take two people arguing over logic, you'll realize both people are right in their own way. If you had the ability to see back through their experiences, replay everything they've gone through in life, you'll realize both people, the conclusions they come to, it's not necessarily wrong. Society has created this like common logic shared across everyone, and which is fair. I think there's moral behind that. There's ethical arguments, and there's also health and environmental impacts. And I think humans have constructed a set of standard logic that the society should follow. But at an individual level, if you look deeper into it, you'll realize everyone came to that conclusion because of their own unique set of experiences, right? And to be logical, you also need to be creative, and to be creative, you also need to be logical. And with software, it's very much both. There are a million ways to do things. There's no right answers, yet logically speaking, there is a right answer for you, and you decide on how you want to proceed forward. That's the true beauty in software. I think I'm starting to fall in love with software again. It's a cycle. For a long time, I started treating it as a way of making money, and now I'm slowly going back to building solid architecture, building cool system designs, learning tools for the sake of learning, and just enjoying the ride, because this is what 11-year-old Abir today would have wanted. And I'm already here. I don't even know what I'm chasing anymore. And I hope you also recognize the beauty of software. Drop your thoughts below. If you disagree with me, then drop that below too. I'm very interested. Again, what I don't know is what I don't know, and I'm completely open to being corrected. I'm completely open to hearing your side of the story. So please do share your opinion. Don't feel embarrassed. Don't feel pressure. Just drop your thoughts. It's an open comment section. Thank you so much for watching. Consider liking and subscribing if you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.